Awesome. We're live. Welcome to COZSNUG, everyone. COZSNUG, however you say it.
COZSNUG.
Yeah. We're a small group tonight, but that's just fine. Cameron's out seeing his kids, so he's busy right now, but that's never a bad thing, you know. Just because you're not here doesn't mean you're not doing exactly where you need to be and, working out all the things you need to be working out.
Very true.
How was everyone's week?
Good. Mine was pretty uneventful, I think. Just another week. went by pretty quick.
Pretty much the same for me. Other than this road on the group, I hurt my back, but that's really normal for me.
I remembered I went to the Mountain Man Rendezvous.
Heck yeah.
And that was really fun. We really roughed it really hard on the mountains. We were late the first night, so we just went up into the hills. And we just camped out, made a fire, no tent, just slept under the stars. I ended up crawling into the trunk because it was cold. It was like, I've never roughed it that hard camping before. It was really fun.
Why was it hard? Roughing what's hard?
Well,
What was the hard?
It was just roughing.
Harder.
It was just like, we didn't, we had hardly any food. We were really rationing our water. We had no tent. We had no sleeping. We had just a bunch of blankets. Just for sleeping bag, just for sleeping gear. Yeah, we just kind of went bare minimum kind of stuff. It was nice.
Reminds me of one time at scout camp. They took us on a hike, and they took us up right before the night before. We had to basically camp out in the wilderness. It was close to the camp. They told us to find somewhere and sleep, and so I just crawled under a bunch of either bushes or like juniper trees. I don't remember, but I woke up a little bit wet. There were people that were drenched because of all the dew and stuff, but kind of reminds me of that because we had little food the whole time. Only whatever water we took on the hike. It was a big hike, so it was. I've been there before. It's fun.
Yeah, I've camped like that before, and tent camping a lot, and then had a trailer. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go backwards. I don't want to rough it like that anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'm older and I need more medical supplies and food.
Mm-hmm.
Without juice is not an easy thing to carry around, especially when you're backpacking. So, yeah, I like my comforts of not roughing it so hard.
Yeah, I do too. So it's really pretty out of character for me to go and do that. But like Quinn invited me, he wanted to go with ski, and I was just like, all right. I knew going with these two. These two they just wanted to rough it like that. This just what they desire. So I was like, all right, I'm on for that ride with them.
Did you have a good
I had a
time?
great time.
That's awesome. So was it like where a bunch of mountain men came together and competed, or?
It was kind of like, there were competitions and such, but it was kind of just like a big mountain man get-together festival almost, a bunch of vendors selling stuff, a bunch of stuff made of leather, beads, Native American stuff, the leather trading kind of vibe. Cool. It's pretty cool.
I remember going when I was little, but I can't remember who with. And so I'd asked my mom if we'd done that, and she's like, yeah, we went up. And there were guns firing all day long. She said, I'm glad we didn't stay the night because I was done with the guns. We just drove up for the day and back. But I remember that, but I think I was pretty young.
Yeah, there were guns all over. There were like 500
Old muskets. Not necessarily old muskets, but no, like,
Well, they probably had those old
Yeah,
powder loading
yeah.
ones.
yeah, the black powder, my dad has a black powder rifle, so I know about that. Sit there and pour it in and stuff it in, put your,
And so he showed us how to collect and identify rocks and stuff, and herbs and such. And he collected a ton of flint and made our fire and some flint and steel that we were on.
Wow.
That's really cool.
It was really
Wow.
cool, yeah.
You collected flint from the
Yeah, flint
surroundings?
Surroundings, yeah.
Wow.
We used it to make our fire. It was cool.
I would have no, I mean, I know what it looks like when it's in a lighter, but I have no idea
Yeah,
what it
I
would look
wouldn't
like
have
to
any idea
find.
until he pointed it out and showed us. Pretty cool.
I wonder if that's what, meaning twin, that's what, I saw in the cave. So we went up on, he's like, wanna go see a cave? Sure, and we went up and went back in, there's a little area we could go through the iron that was all rusty. Got it in there and went back, there's a lot of bones in there, so something has been living in there, but, on the walls, it looked like it was cold, but it might have been flint, because it was like wasn't black, but it was like a metallic, darker gray color, like the flint and lighters and stuff, so.
Or is obsidian is similar too, isn't it?
Not true.
We have a lot of obsidian in Utah.
Yeah, it's usually more like pure black. There are some lighter forms, but I don't think it was obsidian. I think it had to have been flint. Because that's the only other thing I've ever seen that's like gold. So, yeah, that's really cool to see, touch all that stuff. Someone needs to sit down with him and write out all this information, or have him record it, or record it with him, so you pass that information on.
There's books about every herb and
True,
mineral and rock.
Everything's been written down. We'll just
Somewhere,
just
yeah.
got it.
True facts.
Cool. Well, let's move on into our question we picked for tonight. The question we want to ask tonight is, what's the hardest decision you ever had to make in your life? You know, if we have more time, we'll ask what the easiest decision is too. Yeah, that could be a hard question. So, sorry, can you give you time to think about that? Well, I fixed the audio.
Or hardest thing, I guess thing had to do with
Yeah,
decision.
just like the hardest thing, the decision, just a difficult time in your life. You felt like you really had to pull it together and make a really informed decision or action, both are good.
It's hard to pick just one.
Yeah,
There's
let's do. I'm trying to think.
There's a lot.
Excuse me.
That's
I think the hardest decision I ever made was to quit my job. Working a desk job with my parents. I was just talking to Kelly about it. I was working that for 8 years, I think.
Wow.
And I was very secure. I very much knew that I could stay there the rest of my life and just secure my financial future. But I was really just suffering in the daily activity, the day-to-day activity. So even though, my numbers were all worked out, and I was very beautiful, but in my daily activity, I just was miserable. It was a really hard decision to give up that security I knew I had for something I knew may not bring me as much wealth, but would definitely bring me more fulfillment.
Oh, nice.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So why was that so hard?
It was hard simply just as the leap of faith.
Just to change,
Just to
change
change,
after
yeah.
8 years. That is a long time.
Definitely just a change. I hadn't had any other jobs. I was working from high school. I was working from when I was 15 in high school, working half days. And then when the second I got out, started in college, I was working full time, and then I left college. So it was like, it was all I ever was doing. And I was like, well, don't fix what ain't broken. That was kind of my attitude.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that it got to this point where it was just too utilitarian, and I just had to let it go and allow my heart to do what it needed to do.
Oh, nice.
Sometimes you just gotta do it that way.
Yeah, that's what you need to do. Success or failure. That's what I had to do.
And I presume you're much more fulfilled in your everyday
Yeah.
life since you've done that.
I absolutely am much happier in my everyday life. Like, I was talking about how I'm going back to train that employee right now. I'm working half days right now. I go back and it just shows me, I'm so glad I'm not here every day. I know that I'd much rather be spending my time doing many different other things.
For sure.
I love just talking to people all day. I don't get to do that in the office.
That's very true.
Yeah. Well, depending on,
Well, depending on the job, I'd rather use
You're
in
in.
sales, but that's a
Yeah.
little different than that.
well, yeah.
Have to be a good people
Well,
person
and
for
if
that. I'm not one of those.
Financially, if ever whenever you were like, well, I love what I'm doing, but need something financially, I mean,
Right.
you can
You're
grab a
absolutely
job.
right. If there comes to this point where it's like, oh, I need to make some money.
You could work
I
part,
can't be doing this. I
you
can go
know.
work part-time. I can,
Right.
go through, I think there's a job somewhere for me. Wherever I want to, you can always find a job somewhere. So it's not
Right.
like I'm shying away from that. I just want to try to push my passion right now. Really see where that goes. Everyone wants to be doing their passion.
Yep.
Regardless of if it's their job or not, everyone wants to do their passion.
Agreed. Well, I'd have to say the hardest thing for me was to move back home after living in Phoenix from 2005 to 2008. Yeah, that was probably one of the hardest decisions I had to make.
What was the kind of context around?
So I went to school in 2005. I went to one of those for-profit schools, shut down in the middle of the Senate.
A college.
Yeah.
Not a public school, so,
Yeah,
which are,
one of those for-profit colleges. It was weird. It was high-tech institute when I went. They changed into Anthem College while I was there, and I think maybe to something else. And then they shut down when the U.S. Senate investigated the
oh,
stuff.
that's
So,
not good. Well, changing names several times, that's,
probably to hide their shenanigans that they were doing.
or financial issues is a lot of those issues that, and you're
Yeah.
paying for it
Yeah.
in the meantime.
Pretty much. So,
Why was that hard to,
because I was pretty much the only one in my family besides my dad to go to higher education, and I tried to get out on my own, but couldn't really do so, and having to move back made me kind of feel like I was a failure, in a sense. I failed at it. I'm not a failure, but at that, what I was trying to do, I did fail at that. That doesn't make me a failure. So that's
maybe you did exactly what you needed to do in that.
yeah, for sure.
You didn't need to complete it to get out of it what you
Yeah,
needed.
yeah.
No failure.
Well, that's how I reason is like, well, no, you're right. You're right. But that was the hardest thing I had to do.
It only took me 15 years to get an education after high school. So, and I was gonna, and I wish I hadn't, because I feel like marketing, I graduated in 2009, I think, before social media exploded.
Yeah,
It's null and void, I feel like.
Oh,
yeah, because you don't have the social media.
Right,
knowledge.
and it took me 15 years, and
That's kind of, sorry to cut you off, that's kind of what happened to me with what I went to school for. You know, I went for digital design animation, and they taught me web design and stuff, but the technologies
oh,
now
yeah, you have to
are
say.
so much different from what I was taught. Like, there's still the stuff, like PHP is still around, but you can use so many other things. And HTML is now 5, and it was like 4.1. So like, I understand, I empathize with you. It's
Yeah.
once technology kind of went and took off, I think a lot of us that
Either
went
keep
to-
up or you do something
yeah.
else.
I think a lot of us that were in that time period from like the early 2000s to probably 2015-ish.
Yeah,
we're
everything was
left
changing.
behind.
but yeah,
Yeah.
2015, like,
Yeah.
technology exploded, even before that, technology continues to get faster, grows faster at an exponential rate, so, it's getting faster and faster, so that problem's just gonna keep getting worse, really, not worse, I guess. Problem will continue, because right now, things that discoveries that are being made now are null and void in 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the hardest about that for you to have to do that?
Or,
Your hardest to...
oh, I thought you were asking specific.
Sorry, no, your hardest choice. What was so difficult about that?
two huge, really huge ones. One was when I was younger. But I think probably separating from my ex. My boys were both still in elementary school, and he was dealing with alcohol and addiction issues. And I was dealing with more and more health issues. And I think all psychosomatic. I was just stuffing, and I was seeing the counselor. I thought I was fine. I'm working through it. And we did work through it really well, but right at the end, it just got so hard. And I had been a stay-at-home mom for 7 years. So I felt like, well, getting a job, I had 7 years, no background for my resume.
Yeah.
I had a degree, but no experience behind it other than consulting. So, and didn't have family that lived close. So, that was the hardest. I ended up moving in with my sister right across the street for 6 months. And moving back north, because I grew up in Brigham City, that right there was probably because I loved Salt Lake. I did not want to go back to any small town. Living in Ogden was not a cool place when I was in high school. It was just a larger armpit to come visit. So that was probably the hardest thing, to move here and try to find a job. But leaving my marriage, because I felt like I could stick it out. Like, I'm not going to do this over health reasons. I had my own, but the communication and everything fell apart with all of that. But I'm glad. I think it was the right choice, and got healthier and back on my feet.
That's always a bonus.
Right, yeah. We needed to go do our separate things to get ourselves healthy. And now we have a great relationship, and he's a great father, and my boys are happy here.
Is he sober from alcohol?
I think it's been 6 years.
Oh, good for him. That's fantastic.
Yeah, 6 or 7 years. So. And my health I got rid of my fibromyalgia, my chronic migraines. I had arthritis apparently, and now I'm not dealing with any of that. So. Yeah. I think I had stopped growing and was just stuffing, that I then started going downhill, the opposite end. My body's just like, oh, okay, we're done. We're just gonna age really quickly and get sick. And that was a struggle, because I was on painkillers, like fentanyl patches, because I was allergic. I became allergic to opiates, and in a lot of pain, just barely able to crawl out of bed. And I fentanyl patches, because I couldn't take anything else. They do have buprenorphine patches, but it's another type of opiate, and I liked those more. But then I started building allergies to those. Like, my skin would get hives under it and itch and rashes. So my body is great at telling me. It did that with cigarettes. I smoked off and on for probably 7 or 8 years, and would just start throwing up. Even if I was around it, nicotine would make me sick, and medication does that. So I'm lucky. Alcohol, I get sick before I got drunk, so that saved me. My body, my stupid body, tells me what it doesn't like. So, but I learned a lot about. But that felt like a failure to me. Like, leave with 2 kids and no job. Well, I had a job. I couldn't keep it in Salt Lake. I was waiting tables. So, it was like, my sister is my closest family.
Great. Is it the house right there?
Yep.
Nice.
And then, this house came up for rent, and my nephew needed to find a new place, so him and I, and then a month later, my mom came, and so we all shared rent here. So, it's all worked out great.
I'm so glad you decided to join us. Tonight, our question is, what is the most difficult decision or no action you ever had to take in your life?
Amongst the 50.
Amongst the
One of the top, I know. Like I have a good top
What is
3.
it?
What was the most difficult decision you ever had to make in your life?
Or thing you've had to do.
Quitting opioids, that definitely is.
Mm.
Been on those for 10 years or so at least, all of that, probably longer than that.
Well,
Quitting those.
how did you start on those?
I think I broke my wrist with it at one time,
Mm.
and I remember on the couch being like, "Oh, this feels, kind of fun." Good with taking it for the first time, and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty fun." And I just kept finding reasons to get more and more, and eventually I was able to just off my thing. Then eventually I went to a pain clinic and got it too. And, eventually, they eventually cut me off, and that was when I was like, I just shouldn't be doing this anymore. And so that was definitely hard thing to go through for sure.
What'd you have to do?
It was just it's definitely a mental struggle of just, because I would always carry them with me and always just take them. I'd take one in the morning to get the day going, and it was a hard adjustment back to normal life without them. And deal with the aches of being life.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, and even physical. Trying to come off, you're in more pain than what you normally should be, because it's like it doesn't reverse to you for a while. I ended up in the hospital
Oh, really?
without any of my stuff, and I was able to wake up in the morning with energy, and I was like, what's going on? I gotta recreate this, and it was all the pain meds. Not waking me up, but
What was your adoption?
It's quitting my job.
Oh. To do this,
I was gonna like it, but it's just so
yeah.
what I was gonna do. Just, finding this, it's really hard decision to
Yeah, for sure. I admire you did that.
all right, now what was the easiest decision you ever had to make?
That was easy. Oh my gosh.
Well, big, like big. You could say, like, I haven't had a peach.
Right.
That was easy. I think I know mine, but I can be real quick about it. Growing up, I never wanted to have kids. All throughout my 20s, never, because I felt like my life growing up was such a struggle that I just thought, I don't want to put anyone through this. And then when I had met my kid's dad, when we started talking about it, it was like, because he felt the same way, kind of like he'd been previously married and never wanted kids. But then when I don't know, I think it was just connecting with someone and loving him at that level to where it's like, it's a whole, like, yes, we want to have kids, and it was just instantaneous, like, yes, that I do want to do that, so.
How's it going? Pretty good. Awesome. Grab some chairs.
I can,
So is
I can
it
grab some.
because you've been able to
Probably.
express love to somebody, or?
Yeah, the love and the feeling like someone else, like a partner, I had a partner in that, and we can hold a chair over here too if you want.
Yeah, maybe.
It had just changed, yeah.
Really persistent.
It does.
Please don't want to give that up, does it?
I'll grab you a kitchen chair.
This
You'll
is
get-
mine.
yeah.
This is plain.
This is mine.
Put the towel in.
Glad you guys decided to drop by. Tonight, our question is, what's the most difficult decision you've ever had to make in your life?
Or thing,
Or, thing you've had to do?
the most difficult thing you've had to do or decision
I mean,
of the 20 or
difficult decision or difficult situation?
either.
Yeah, either.
Yeah.
Really.
Because the decision's really easy when the situation's get
Right,
difficult.
right.
Well, we stood on.
No,
Okay.
we'd all covered, we were gonna, then we're just moving to the easiest thing
Oh,
you've
well,
had to
so
do.
we're swooping in just in time.
So,
Okay, well, let's move on to the easiest. And keep the vibrations a little higher.
but big easy, not like I got up and had a peach for breakfast. I mean,
right, yeah.
like a big impactful easy, I guess. Well, if you need to think, we can still, we can,
Oh, all right, I got, when I started to lose weight, I really thought it was going to be really hard to stop snacking. But I ended up starting just replacing all my snapping with just water. Every time I wanted to snack, I'd fill my stomach with water, just to fill my stomach, make it feel like full. And it ended up just being this really easy decision. I couldn't believe it. Like, it was almost overnight. I just started slowly losing weight. And I was like, yeah, that was just a decision I made.
Wow.
Like, I don't even know if I consciously made it because it just felt so effortless.
Well, it's common in Japanese culture to drink water, however, before and after a meal, but never while eating.
oh,
So it's probably correlative to that principle why they don't have a lot of weight problems.
why
Makes
not
sense.
while eating? What if you're choking, you have a dry mouth? There's an exception.
Milk is food. It doesn't hydrate you. Doesn't dilute your stomach acid. It is digested like food.
Makes sense, the water would get the digestive system flowing.
Right.
Yeah. But it dilutes the stomach acid itself if you consume it while actually eating.
That makes sense.
So it's not as effective as its job.
I've read a lot of health, like eating and stuff, because of the diabetes and trying to figure out ways to eat better around that. But yeah, we often eat because we're bored, or we feel hungry because we're bored, and drinking water helps fill that time and make it feel like we're not actually hungry.
Yeah, well, I suppose it makes it advantageous to be in Utah then, because it gets so hot and dry here for so many months. You know, all you can do is drink water to try and stay hydrated and keep up. The easiest impactful decisions though, having Ava, deciding that I was gonna be a team. Like all the synchronicities and stuff just went to a point where it's basically like God screaming in my face, hey, you better fucking, you better do that. You better have that, you better have a baby there. You know, okay then.
Yeah, that was my easiest, making the choice to want to have kids, because I never did.
Well, see, and I never did either. It was like, it just came delivered as almost like marching orders, and I was just like, okay, then I guess that's not going to stand anymore, because I wasn't going to have kids. But it still is like, okay, this is now the new direction.
Beautiful impact.
Oh yeah. Okay. I guess I'd be a flip-flopper in politics.
We all would.
Wait,
Like,
wait, you can adapt and change? We're
I
gonna turn this
know.
into a perjurative.
And we're allowed to change our minds all the time.
Yeah.
I just start trying to think.
I don't know whether,
I don't know, lately I've just been living life. I really been making any impactful decisions. And
What do you play?
Awesome one.
Super Mario World.
Oh, nice.
Oh, very
I
nice.
got on the
Switch,
emulator.
classic.
Yeah,
No, there's one with multi-console
Yeah.
emulators.
Okay,
it's got 9 different emulators on it.
nice.
It looks real good on that projector screen too.
Oh, I bet.
That's really it. Pretty easy on it.
I guess for me, the easiest thing, the easiest choice or decision that's impacted me the most was to start focusing on trying to build the things that I have control over and stop worrying about the stuff that I don't have control over.
Easiest, that was the easiest.
Yeah, because as I've said in the past, I come from a conspiratorial background from my father,
Yeah, that's a good degree.
really badly, and so to finally step out of that conspiratorial mentality in the sense of there's some shadowy group of people trying to control everything, and the 1% this, and they're all bad. It was, like I've said before in the past, I was like, well, they're all humans just like me. Why am I trying to hate on these people? And that was, out of what I can think of, that was the easiest thing for me to do, is have that realization go, oh, well, I'm going to stop doing this. There's no point to it. How can I bring positivity and light and love into the world if I'm bringing this divisive,
If
negative energy?
you're distancing yourself with negative energy from the people of resource, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
So, well, thank you.
That's great.
It's the easiest, not the hardest, but it was, I don't know, it took a while to get there, but it was the easiest once I got there. So my dad had me in there from age 14, 24 is when I got in trouble in Tremont. And then it took another, I don't know, year or two after that, so like 12 or 13 years it took me from actively having that mentality. Because I've heard theories my entire life, but
You're welcome.
when I first smoked cannabis is kind of when I opened my. I heard a quote from the '60s today. A blown mind is a mind known, or something like that. A mind blown is a mind known. And so when I had my mind blown by cannabis, I was like, well, maybe there's something to what my dad was saying. But come to find out, no, there's really not much to it.
That's awesome. Well, that's just finding your true
Yeah.
self, because we're all a product of our environment so much until we realize,
It's always so creative, yeah.
right, well, I don't have to follow anything if I don't want to. It's just what we grow up with, and some people don't
Well, it's
get
like,
out of that.
if you
'cause-
can outgrow your own expectations, then you really can do anything you fucking want.
Yeah.
Right,
Because it's like when you let others hold you to the expectations that they have for you, or even you for yourself, that's when you start to become the person that you know, the familiarity and the character that everybody recognizes, and it reinforces and
but,
it
and
reinforces.
never perfect, you're
And-
always.
and then it
wanting to be-
habituates. But that's just all it is. It's just a habituation. You can still at any time come back to yourself and say, you know what, left turn. And do something else and do something else.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, we're incredibly capable. It's just a matter of having the courage to do so.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, look at me. I have fun with life. I can. Nah, that's not the truth. Not as much as I usually could. I should.
Right?
I should. Holding back on the fun, that's not fair to myself.
I agree. That's what I've been doing for a long time.
You are the worst perpetrator of the offense.
The worst
I'm working
perpetrator of
on
fun.
it.
Holding back from from doing the fun things.
It's happening slowly.
Yeah, it's like I had the Jewish and stuff. And one maybe got a hard left.
Oh,
It's time for our letter.
Sometimes the best things take time.
yeah, you did.
Right. I struggle with that too. I'm like, I have to make sure I'm doing what I need to do, 'cause I have kids and a house, and I gotta make sure my finances are where they should, and I do this right, I do that to myself, because I grew up without a lot of money, and made sure I could do what I needed to do, and now I have kids relying on me, so I even put more pressure on myself for that. Like I'm hard to everyone around me because of that. So I am a Debbie Downer of fun a lot.
I mean, there's a lot of conditioning that goes into that kind of an attitude and behavior, too. Cultural family, like a lot of it is scarcity, especially like if they come in from Nordic backgrounds, even at genetic the level of winters are, you have to have things for winters if you want to live. So that kind of encourages a bit of a fear of scarcity and slightly hoarding mentality, which is how you survive at that point. But I'm so glad that we're developing past these things. And coming to realize just how developed we have gotten in these things so that we can finally shed those predispositions. So, Devil's Playground?
Yeah, I'm excited. I don't know, you might like, I'm just we're going up to Devil's Playground this weekend.
Oh, very nice.
Just do some camping, camping,
And there's some pretty epic smoky quartz veins still hanging out there. Probably gonna dig on
So what is that?
smoky quartz.
Oh. Is that rock?
Yeah, last time I.
It looks like that's a pink quartz, smoky is gray, has gray through it.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Where are you going?
It's like northwest of Great Salt Lake, like maybe an hour and a half from Fremont.
What day are you doing?
I'm heading up tomorrow and I'm coming back Sunday.
But camping on is it like salt flats or desert?
Oh no, it's like the most bizarre
Hills?
rock formations you've ever seen in your life. The last time I was driving up there with Ken, like it just sort of flashed in my head that at one point it was a mermaid lagoon.
It was what?
A mermaid lagoon. And I can't say that was a thought that I thought because there's no rational place for that to have come from. So I think at one point it may have been like a mermaid lagoon for Lake Monaco.
Yeah, I was gonna say Lake Monville would make sense, like.
But it's really interesting, crazy stuff. And if you go farther west into Nevada, like I've put up a shout out to anybody who's coming if they've got quads. We could go cruise over to the Nevada side, and there's turquoise veins and deposits over there that I'll get pinned on the map so I can go back to next time. Yeah, desert adventures. Desert adventures. Wish my dad wasn't this time.
Wish I didn't have responsibilities this weekend.
Right, I do. A little bit. I wish I liked to sleep on the ground.
You kidding me? It's all about the massage tables and the hammocks now.
Those massage tables are not soft.
Dude,
Not like my left soft.
And they're still quite nice compared to most camping accommodations. Very true. Unless you've got a trailer or an RV or something like.
Right.
Those things are.
Well, I've got a pretty impactful, easy decision I made. Very impactful in my life. The moment I decided to stop lying, to always tell the truth, that was just kind of just an intention flip. And that made my life so much easier. I was probably 16 or 17 when I thought this. And life was never easier than when you're just completely honest. Even like, eventually got to the point where I was noticing the tiniest lie I might take. Oh, where were you? Oh, I was out driving, instead of, telling you where I was. And things like that, just when you're not fully transparent, and you have that tiny bit of thing you're trying to hide away, it's just creating suffering, it's creating separateness for yourself. And I think, and the whys are just suck anyway, because they always come apart in the end. It's no matter how big of a web you weave, it always something comes apart in the end. No matter how long you can, weave the lie forward, it always comes undone. So being honest is always just.
Well, if you're always honest, you don't have to like really worry as much about remembering either.
Exactly, yeah. You don't have to keep up with all your lies, all your modern stories you've been telling.
Be like somebody can say, oh, you said this or that or whatever, you just say, no, because that's not true, so I wouldn't have, regardless of whether I remember what I said or not.
You don't have to
Bugger
back it
off,
up.
I don't have to bother remembering, I'm not a scandalous, crazy person like you're projecting.
Yeah, thank you, Alex Ashton. Alex has been here Thursday
Yeah,
nights.
thank you.
But that reminds me when I make the decision often to stop making excuses. Even trying to explain, no, I don't want to do that, but I always feel like I have to give someone the reason why, rather than just saying, I don't want to do that. I feel like I always have to justify myself of reasons why, and I do that so much with him, and just need to say, if he needs to know the reason, I guess he'll ask.
Yeah.
I need to stop doing that again. Like I've done that so many times in my life. Give excuses for everything. It feels so great when I quit doing that. So thank you.
Little less.
What?
Excuses. I think they probably fall into that gray area of little less.
No, I can't make it tonight. My dog's sick.
Well, yeah. Very much can be, yes.
I use my job as an excuse all the time, because it's physically demanding. Oh, I'm too tired.
Yeah.
That's my biggest go-to.
Works out, you're tired after you don't necessarily want to relax.
I
Because
guess,
you're like, no, guys,
especially,
I'm working, doesn't matter.
especially out in the summer when it's.
It's kind of a gray area,
Yeah. But it does let you not live the life you want to be living too.
As I say, it depends on how much it becomes, crutch
Constant.
rather than pineapple whacker.
Yeah.
I don't want to learn to rely on a crutch when I could be using it to whack pineapples.
That's true.
Gilbert's had a cold. He completely hid. We thought he was gone for several days. He wouldn't come out. He's had a runny nose and eyes and sneezing. I thought he was mad because I got mad. Like he was sulking because he peed on the floor right after I changed his litter box. So
Might be
I kicked him
might be some
outside.
allergy stuff. I've had the GIs the last few days. Things the initial rate.
right, yeah, it could be. Melly gets them in the spring and the fall, but I've never seen that issue.
You grew
Oh,
college.
that's so cute.
Easy, baby.
Doesn't be sick deprivation. That really makes him play.
Right, yeah, I don't get it. I rubbed some eucalyptus under his whiskers and he wasn't happy with that. He was sneezing. I'm like, oh shoot, what did I just do?
Not for cats.
But now he's
apparently.
better. I think it cleared everything out because he's now out and walking around.
Yes, well, getting pepper up in your nose or sinuses will also clear everything out because your face will turn into a faucet until the very last
Oh,
particle
pepper.
comes out. It is such a persistent irritant that even if you totally, black pepper, whatever, it burns a little bit, but the tingle and tickle and sneezy messiness just will not stop until it is all gone. It
Oh,
will be
wow.
absolutely cleared out.
Snorting wasabi, probably the same thing, huh?
It's more water soluble. It wouldn't last as long, but probably similar in
Oh.
effect with less
Less
overkill.
burning.
Overkill.
Well, it would be, wasabi would kill you for about 60 seconds till it was out.
Trade-off. You can have the low slow burn that you can't get out,
Right,
with
or
particulate or a
Blow your
water-based
sinuses
or a
out.
water-based, water soluble that will dissolve out, but it's going to hit really hard.
I mean, we could ask Steve. He
Right,
snorted
right.
wasabi.
He sounds like a guy.
He snorted and he didn't like it. I know.
Wonder
right?
why.
I don't. Those guys have done anything that anyone else would never do. Or want to.
Yeah, so we need to get a hot air balloon that is big enough to take a cannon up into the air to shoot a human wearing a wingsuit.
This plan's coming together.
It's developing, yeah.
I'm liking it.
I figure the more complex things get based on the hot air balloon, the more likely the hot air balloon at least will be the part that at least solidifies.
There you go. There you go.
So no porta potty on a bungee. We're not
That,
needing to film that portion.
I think we could find more entertaining things to
Or,
do.
yeah, jumping into cactuses. Naked.
Used to live in Arizona. I've had a
Cactus
few nights
parties.
where I ended up in a couple cactuses.
Oof.
They're no
Oh,
fun.
man. I lived down in Phoenix and I've got into cactuses, but I can't imagine those things.
I had a squirrel my ass on a cactus doing some arborist work in Portland one day. They tripped over the landscaping bit because it was a raised little mound of like wood chips and there's a cactus right there. I'm going home. You're picking cactus out of my ass for the rest of the day.
And even afterwards, it feels like you've still got a
No,
ton of
it's not
needles in
nearly
you.
it's not nearly as bad. Yeah, you can still feel like on every spot.
Yeah, they sting and itch for a couple days.
Yeah.
Cool. Does anyone else have anything you want to share on our question? Anything think of last minute?
I was wondering if maybe if it's a congruent thing for everybody if the more difficult decisions were made in lower vibrational places than the easier decisions.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
For my
Yeah.
most specific.
It's a definite.
Yeah,
When you're at your lowest, that's when it's the hardest to climb.
sure. Because when you
So
those negative places,
hard to know, hard to have the clarity, hard to have the confidence.
Yep, hard to make decisions. Take care of yourself.
talking about a negative decision, of course you're going to be in a negative headspace already.
So if you find yourself having difficulty making decisions, you should recognize that as a sign that you could be doing better.
Right. Get yourself healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's like a
It
big,
should help you prioritize your decisions so that you
Yeah.
can have the confidence when you make them. That is great.
Yeah, that is perfect circle, actually. Yeah. Thank you.
Happy Kwanzaa Christmas.
Happy COZSNUG.
Yeah.